Tuesday, February 17th. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. Today on the show, we're talking about doulas, services that they do and what they don't do. We'll hear about these trained non-medical professionals who offer continuous emotional, physical, and informational support to expectant parents before, during, and after childbirth. And if you have questions while the show is going on, text us 709-327-8206 or emails thesignal@cbc.ca. Before we get to the doulas, really important announcement and a happy announcement. Nan Stewart, happy birthday in Glovertown, 93 years old. I'll be calling you later when you're at Mom and Dad's house. So just everyone, in Glovertown, I know, celebrating my Nan's birthday for those who know her. So Nan, happy birthday. Now for the doulas. Carolann Harding, how you doing?
Hi, Adam. Happy to be here.
All right. So tell us, I got an email from you, and typically we talk about other things, but then we had an email, and I was like, yes, this is a great show. So expand on that if you could.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
So I'm part of the Doula Collective of Newfoundland and Labrador, and doulas are an incredible support system for birthing persons, and whether it's be during the birth, or postpartum. And I thought it was really good to have the word out. So at one of our collective meetings, we put our heads together, and I said, I'm going to email Adam. And it's about education for the public and let them know what doulas do and what we offer.
Yeah. And certified labor, you're a certified labor and birth doula.
I am.
Okay. Excellent. So this is you. Erica Robbins is here as well. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Tell us about yourself. Wherever you want to go with that.
I'm really awkward on the radio. I started off as a yoga teacher, and then I got pregnant and realized I didn't know anything about pregnancy or babies or any of the things that come along with that. So I just started learning. So I took prenatal yoga training, and then I went on and did a doula training. So now I'm working, still teaching yoga, but I focus on prenatal and postpartum bodies. And I'm working as a birth and postpartum doula, so supporting people during pregnancy and in the postpartum period.
Excellent. What? Because I've heard this before too from folks who have kids get pregnant, and it's just like didn't know anything about it. Like how in this world we are in, was that surprising? Is this a surprising thing, or is it not surprising?
I feel like it's not super surprising. It's the kind of thing that you don't really pay attention to until it becomes relevant.
And then you're like, whoa, I could use some info.
Yeah, and then you look around and you're like, wow, everyone I know is also pregnant, and they're all asking me questions, so maybe I should get a little more education on this topic. And then it just snowballs and spirals if you're a person like me.
Yeah, and you learn more, and there's so much we can talk about now through this show. And I'll go to Jordanna Comeau as well, birth and postpartum doula. Is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Tell us about yourself.
So I'm also a social worker and also a parent of two. And for me, I also do perinatal mental health counseling. And what really interests me in some of the doula work is the connection kind of between the mind and the body, and how our emotions show up for us, how our mental health is doing. It really impacts us during the experience. It impacts us during birth, and it really ties together. And it also impacts us afterwards. And I think in terms of kind of like, how do we not know these things? Why are people so surprised? Is a lot of people don't share the full story, don't share the full experience they've been through, all the ups and downs and kind of like the deep, dark corners of their experiences. And so we maybe have like a light version or like a TV version of what the whole experience looks like, but we don't have like a really realistic experience or understand how vast and different all of our experiences can be going through this period.
Why do you think that is?
I think there's a lot of shame and guilt. A lot of people I speak to in both like the birth world and the mental health world experience, there's a lot of shame around, I should be happy right now. This should have been the happiest day of my life. I should be like thrilled with this baby that I have. Why do I feel so terrible? Why do I feel like I wish things were the way they were? So I think part of it is that shame and the guilt, and part of it doesn't really fit into the story, the narrative we've been taught of like motherhood or parenthood or.
And just
what that looks like.
fed that narrative through TV, movies, pop culture, everything growing up. Like it's always been that, like the happy moment, cutting the cord and everything's fine. You're like, actually, no, things can be a lot more complicated, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And which is why you're all here for this conversation today. Michelle LeBlanc, hello. I'm used to talking to you as well in other ways. How are you?
It's a bit of a different role today for sure.
Yeah.
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Typically I talk to you about Valentine's Day anyways. So
Right on schedule.
Right on schedule, different topic. Full spectrum doula and certified chef, of course. I was looking at my notes there.
Yeah.
Tell us about the doula side of your bio.
So a bit of a different angle, like you said, from what we usually talk about.
Yeah.
But somehow I've managed to get the two connected, if you will.
Okay.
So I started my work as a full spectrum doula about 2 years ago, and what brought me to it was it's funny because we all have a different sort of story, and we all bring something really unique and interesting, which makes the collective and the support system through the province really special. So for me, it was more about navigating the pre-birth part and sort of getting there and having a support in a community. So it is definitely something that's not always talked about. So my ideal focus would be on fertility and loss, though I do, and like high-risk pregnancies. Because of lived experience. And through my lived experience, what I found was that those things are not openly talked about.
Yeah.
We're doing so much better about talking about everyone's experiences and bringing that to the table, but it's obviously not really easy to speak to fertility and loss through the process. So I was, through my journey, missing that part, and it's something that I definitely would have, I think, benefited from and having. So that's what brought me to birth work. And then through that, in sort of conjunction with my actual other life that we usually speak about is the food part. So a lot of what I do is sort of nourishing people through birth and postpartum, and just meal structures and how I can help with that. So it's a bit of a mix.
So with doulas, right, it's not something that's covered under MCP, because I'm just thinking of the healthcare system, and everything we just kind of been mentioning feels to me like it's like healthcare system related and could easily be part of it because of the informational needs, the supportive needs that are out there. And we're not talking like this isn't medical, it's not psychological counseling, but it's so much more when it comes to support. Who wants to jump in on that side of it?
Oh, I think
Everyone's like, maybe.
All of us.
I think we'd all have something to say there,
Yeah, of
because
course.
there's a lot of statistics out there that says if you have a doula, your births are shorter, the complications are less, which ultimately means less strain on the healthcare system, but more importantly to us, it's better outcomes for the birthing people and their families.
Right.
So there's an economics to it for sure. And in some other jurisdictions, they actually have doula programs that are attached to the hospitals. And so that if you go and you're ready to deliver or, you're assigned a doula. And so that framework and model is very, very interesting. We're not here at that in Newfoundland and Labrador yet, but there is an economic piece of it that actually might get the ear of the decision makers, because I think the part that we really focus on, which is the individual experience and making sure that people have a wonderful experience, that's not what maybe the politicians are really worried about. They're looking at the dollars and the cents, right? And how long people are in hospital, and how many times do people have to go back to the hospital? Is there complications? How long are they in? That's a topic for a PhD that maybe I'll do in the future, actually.
Okay. All right. And before we've got someone on the lines, and for everyone listening, we've got some calls lined up. We've got the folks here in studio. We've got a couple of parents who are going to be calling a little bit. So it's a big old range for the show today of perspectives, opinions, thoughts, lived experience. And again, as you're listening, if you have thoughts for us, text us 709-327-8206, the signal at cbc.ca. So on the line, co-owner of Doula School Canada, located in Toronto, Stephanie Antunes. How are you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me today.
Thanks for coming on. You've been a doula for over 2 decades. How has things changed? How have things changed with the profession and evolved in Canada over the last 20 years?
so much has changed. And I often say I was a doula since before doula was cool to be, you know, when I had to define what that meant to everyone I spoke with. And watching this profession grow has been incredible and challenging. I was one of the people who was the first to try a lot of different things, and that's been super challenging to not have, to not be part of a profession that has such a rich history. And ironically, of course, it's the oldest profession that actually exists. So it's both new and old at the same time.
Why do you think things? Why has it gotten cool? And what do you see across the country for like the room for bringing this more into the healthcare system side of things?
I mean, I think if we look at healthcare in general, people have access to information that is unparalleled in history. Yeah. And so people are able to make really informed decisions in their healthcare. And it's not enough anymore to just go to your doctor and do what your doctor says. People are realizing that there's a range of options and there's no one right way to do anything. And people are wanting to be part of their healthcare decisions. And I think the reason doulas are so popular is that people are realizing there are healthier options out there for having a baby. We don't just have to do what we're told to do, of course. And that having a coach alongside us, someone who can help us navigate the complexities of the medical system, is just a really great option.
How many folks are you training at Doula School Canada anyways?
Well, we typically add close to 1,000 each year, so it's a lot.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting 1,000. I don't know what I was expecting, but 1,000 was more than I was. And where do they are they for them working afterwards? Is it mainly are we talking like Toronto, GTA area? Is it across the country? How does that kind of work for where they spread out afterwards?
Yeah, so our company is international. So we have students in over 20 countries, but the organization has a rich history in Canada, and so that's the bulk of our students are Canadian. But yeah, we have people all over the world. And I think one of the reasons a lot of people are coming to this profession now is that there are options in terms of what work looks like. So when I first became a doula, you were an independent doula with a private practice, and that was the only option. Now people can work in agencies, they can work as employees. We also own 2 agencies and a hospital doula program through our organization, and so people can also become employees and be a main income earner in their home.
So for all the work you've done, for all the training, then for the 1,000 a year, just what are your thoughts on the impact that this has on families, folks giving birth, on populations, on health?
I mean, we do a fair bit of data collection through our agencies especially, and what we can say is that when a doula is present, it supports what we already know in the research and in the evidence, that labors are shorter, there are fewer complications, people are more satisfied with their birth experience. And if we translate that into a medical context, those are lower costs for our medical system as well. So there's enough support out there and enough evidence out there to support this being a more funded option for people.
Stephanie, I know you're short on time, so thank you so much for carving out some time to talk to us here today on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Stephanie Antunes there, co-owner of Doula School Canada, located in Toronto, but as you just heard, international. So that's some national perspective, some international perspective. Thoughts back here for folks in the studio for what Stephanie was saying.
I think that just speaks to, like she was saying, there's the increase of something old that's new again and shedding light on it again. And I know for myself personally, I had a doula 8 years ago when I had my first child, and there's been a huge shift. But there's always been presence of doulas in Newfoundland and Labrador for over 20 years, and I think as we shift with, it's obviously like any other career, it changes and you evolve and it adjusts. But it's something that, like Stephanie was saying, you can do. There's different ways to do it. It's not necessarily like the standard 9 to 5. So it fits in lots of people's lives. And I think we all come at it from a different angle, and it's at different seasons in our lives, which makes what each doula internationally really offers to birthing families and how we can support them.
I'm glad you're talking right now because we've got Liz Cox on the line. Who you know.
I do.
Hi, Liz. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. You used Michelle as a doula. Could just tell me about why you decided to hire a doula and the experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from the UK, and I moved here a couple of years ago. And when I was going through the process of figuring out what birth would look like, I found the choices, even here in St. John's and like down the road from health sciences, very limited. I'm used to being in other places within Canada and the UK where you could choose what hospital, different birthing suites, like private places. You could give birth at home with midwives. And there was only the health sciences. And that felt very scary, honestly, to have those choices reduced. And so I was like, I would like to have someone who understands the process to help me, guide me through it, guide my husband with me, and kind of give a little bit more like of that empowerment of the pastoral side, right? I trust that the medical people will have the medical stuff, but have that person to be with you and feel like a little bit more empowered of what's going on.
Yeah, to have more agency, I guess, around the whole experience, right? Because you're like, yeah, sure, the medical folks are going to do the medical thing, but there's so much more on the spectrum of everything that's going to happen, and I would really like to have more agency and decision-making process with this.
That's right. Because, part of the thing is when I spoke to Michelle, I found out that there was more choice than I thought, that you can have the OBGYNs or you can go through the family practice. And so I was able to go through family practice who were not OBGYNs and take it a little bit differently. And that was a choice I didn't even know was available until I spoke to a doula, which shouldn't be happening. But I was very grateful that was information I found out. And then you have someone there, because the doctors don't have the time to talk you through all of the emotional pieces, right, before you get there. Because a lot of the doula work was in the meetings before the birth, right, talking about what your expectations are, what your hopes are, what your fears are, and helping hold those in the space while the doctors have the medical stuff, right?
All of that. Michelle, anything for Liz before I let her go?
No, it's lovely to say hi, Liz. I won't keep you. I'm sure you're busy. I think it's lovely that you were, again, like you said, coming from somewhere else and not knowing the system in particular. Like it's important to have that support, and we are unique in that there is not even a choice in the hospital, right? So it's the health sciences. That's it. Hard stop.
Liz Cox, thank you so much for coming on the program.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
All right. So we heard from Liz there, right? You're coming in, you're trying to, you don't even know, especially as a newcomer, right? But then for not always knowing what's available, having someone to talk about, navigating the whole process. Can we kind of march through some of the, for the range for doulas? Because it's like, fertility, different trimesters, labor, postpartum, right? Who wants to kind of jump in on some of this?
Yeah. So
maybe we can start from the beginning.
Okay. So there's so many different types of doulas. You'll even hear people talk about death doulas is a totally separate thing. But we do, Michelle's a full spectrum doula. So that means she handles fertility and pregnancy and postpartum. So fertility doula would guide you through the process of fertility and also support any losses that occur along the way. A birth doula we've talked about a lot during the show, but supporting you through pregnancy in preparation for birth and then actually being there for the birth, which, in case people don't know, that's a really important piece. So being there is continuous support through labor with that person. And then postpartum doula is something that has really been catching on in St. John's area, but across the country, it's getting really big as people are starting to realize we don't really have the village that we talk about around it. So a lot of people live away from their family or are not close with their family, and we don't really live in a society where you can just knock on your neighbor's door anymore and ask for childcare or groceries or whatever the way we used to, So a postpartum doula is somebody who's there, who's like a non-judgmental support in your life. And so working, in the home with the new family, helping them learn about baby care, about feeding options, checking in to find out how they're sleeping and helping them get a bit more sleep, doing some light tidying, chores around the home, food preparation, and just being like a listening ear who's not part of your family or friend group. So it's no strings attached, right? You just pay me and I come and I do the thing and then I leave.
Yeah, but like in this time of such a big, gigantic, life-changing moment where you can be going through so much, and if you don't have that support network, which nowadays, like you said, a lot of folks do not have it. Right?
We don't have it, or we do and it's virtual. Like you have your friend, but they live 2 provinces away, so their experience is different than yours, and maybe they're not available when you need them to talk. So it does feel very isolating, especially when you're, pulling out your phone and looking on social media and the other people who've just had babies look like blissful. And you just see like their baby in their cute outfit and you're like, wow, she's got it together.
Everything seems fine for all these folks. I mean, you're like, oh, actually, right? I mean, and sometimes, yes, sure. But other times, because if you're relying on social media, it
we don't get the whole story.
It could get dark, especially in those vulnerable moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jordanna, what about your thoughts on this and just kind of some of your role as well?
Mm-hmm. Thoughts on the whole spectrum of
yeah. Or if you want to kind of pinpoint something that you've kind of noticed for on the range from just the involvement of fertility all the way to postpartum and in between.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing that comes up for me is that a lot of us, like in our personal lives, let's say, might have the best intentions of how we want to support people as they go through complicated stages, but we don't always know how to.
Yeah.
Like many of us might be blessed to have loving families or friends who just don't really know how to show up for us, who might be there and might want to hold the baby, but might not know how to really hold us. Yeah. And so I think it's so valuable having a different layer of your support system, people who are trained to know what to look out for, to know what to offer, to help you communicate around your needs. I know for myself and for many people I work with, a lot of us might be a little more people pleasers or a little conflict avoidant, and we just want to get along and look like we're doing well and not ask for help or cause trouble. So sometimes it really takes somebody who will offer you the things that you might need to be able to say yes, please. Versus in those vulnerable moments when we're feeling dark, being able to say, can you please come over to my house and clean the kitchen and hold the baby so I can go have a nap. So I think that extra layer of support, people who kind of know what to ask, know what to offer, know what resources are out there, is so invaluable for people no matter what stage of the process they're going through.
So then what's it been like getting the word out? Because there's the folks who get in touch with you, right? Who, we heard with Liz, a newcomer looking, just not unsure, right? So I'll go to a doula, and there's some knowledge of that. And then you have folks who maybe have lived here their whole lives and maybe don't even know what's available. So how are you getting the word out? I mean, coming on the radio to talk about is one way, but how's it going to get the word out? And what do you see from people kind of who you're in contact with who don't know compared to the ones who come to you with reasons for your services?
So I think there's a lot of referrals. A lot. Totally. It's referral. And I have to tell you, last week when I was visiting somebody at St. Clair's Hospital, I noticed that the doctor was pregnant. And I said, have you booked a doula yet? And she goes, what's a doula? So
the doctor.
Okay,
yeah. No.
Yeah. So, but their role was not in obstetrics, obviously, or they'd know what a doula was. So referrals are a really, really big thing, and I find that within conversation. And people like to tell their experiences. That's where I think we get the biggest amount of people is through referrals and the positive experiences that people are having. But I do know that some of the folks here at the table now have a little bit more of a relationship with some of the doctors that let's say frequent that the birthing ward. That they're understanding now the roles. And I remember the first time I went in. The nurse said to me, I don't know what I would have done without you here today. And I thought, okay, that was really nice because you could go either way. Either she valued, it was a lady at the time, she would have either valued value me being in that room, or I was a nuisance being in that room. So when she did come out and said, I don't know what I would have done without you here today, because they are so busy, as was mentioned before, filling out paperwork and doing things that are medical versus holding the hand and mopping the brow and assuring and advocating. And like we all believe in self-advocating. So we empower them to ask the questions and remind them gently when they don't ask the question that they need to ask. But it's really, if you've had a doula, then I would think everybody that has a doula says you need to have a doula. And so that's a very important part of, I think, our whole client acquisition, shall we say, from a business point of view.
Yeah.
That network grows with each person who has a positive experience with doula,
For sure.
I think. Yeah.
And then one thing I do hear a lot of when I meet people who've already had a baby, like I have a almost 4-year-old, so I was at a lot of mom groups for a while. The people who didn't have a doula are often like, oh my God, I wish I'd had a doula. I wish I had known. Like, even if they knew what a doula was and they chose not to for whatever reason, didn't think it was necessary, most people are like, I wish I had known.
Yeah.
And even if you had one with your first, most people who've had one with their first are going back in with their second with a doula. It's not a cookie cutter experience, right? So you can't be certain that just because you've done it once, you're a pro and you're going to do it right, like textbook the next time. So the support works no matter how many births you've had.
Every birth is different. Every baby is different. Every postpartum experience is different. So you really, I mean, you're never going to get to the point where you're like, okay, I can do this myself. I've got it.
No, because
always nice to have that
everything you're
extra
laying
person.
out sounds, it's not the I've got it stuff. It's like the extra, even like you said, coming to the house, like the postpartum side of it, right? Just check, even to like someone wants to have a nap and you're just helping with like some of the housework and laundry and see if the partner needs support and checking on them. Like none of that is the I've got it side of it.
No,
You know?
and if you've got older children too, if it's not your first baby, having, being able to spend quality time with them one-on-one, or having someone who can like entertain your toddler so you can have that nap is really important.
I find a lot of times when I find myself talking about work as a doula, no matter whether it's, like I said, fertility straight through postpartum, it's a lot of little things that add up to a really big thing that we're offering. Like it can be something as simple as just sitting next to a person who's resting during labor, or it can be doing a load of dishes or, doing meal prep. But those little things, and, it feels little at the time maybe, they add up to huge for people.
Yeah, that grand sum of those little tiny things, like putting that glass of water next to them while they're nursing, right? Baby nurses, you hydrate.
It's simple, but big.
And big.
So what's matching like? Because I know we're not talking mental health side of things, but when I've done other shows with talking about therapists, people are like, well, not every, like one therapist for one person, maybe better for another, as opposed to, what work has to go into it with a client for just kind of making sure everyone's on the same page and
I always recommend that that they interview a couple of people to see if there is a jive, right? It really needs to be, you need to have some rapport with this person because you're going to be at your most vulnerable with this
very
person.
intimate experience,
Very, very intimate, especially if you're there during the birth, where it's, to me, that's probably the most intimate experience. Just even physically, where you're not covered, you're there giving birth, and you are right there, right?
For it.
Oftentimes, it's the doctor and us seeing the baby first. So you need to have that rapport. And if somebody says, I think I'm going to go with somebody else, that's cool. That's totally cool with me because they have found somebody, which is the most important thing that I think that they can get along with.
Need to feel safe.
Super. They
So
They
important.
need to feel safe. But we do back up for each other, which is really, really important. So, this is not what I would call a, dog-eat-dog kind of community here.
There aren't that many of us.
That seems like it would be the opposite of what the doulas do, right? You're like, no, it's really cutthroat. I'm like,
Exactly. And so, I was back up for Erica over the holidays, and I don't have small children anymore, so I could sort of, at the drop of a hat, go and I don't know whether if she had two people all at the same time in the hospital. So I was on backup, and I think I was actually on backup for her mental health too, to say it's okay, I'm here.
Oh yeah, I definitely sent a lot of desperate texts. Oh my God,
well, it's important for us to have that too, because we almost have to debrief the situations as well, right? You need that community. Again, it's back to like lived experience, but like we can learn from each other and we can sort of talk it out. And again, they don't always go according to plan. So it's nice to have somebody to talk to about it after the fact.
Yes,
And that's the beauty of the collective.
Yeah.
So on March 1st, on the Sunday morning at 10 to 11:30, we're actually going to have a coffee meetup and a chat down at the Alt Hotel in the lobby. So grab your coffee or your tea at the Terre Cafe and then just meet other people. So doulas, wannabe doulas are welcome to pop down and meet some of us and have a chat.
So what are some of the things you've learned from, I know there's tons, right? But like from when you first thought, okay, I'm going to become a doula, you get trained and you start doing, but like what's something that's surprising that may have come up from these experiences, whether like anywhere on that range or working intimately with families and folks?
People don't know their bodies.
Yeah.
So I think I've spent a lot of time working on the body prep piece of it because I'm also a yoga teacher like Erica, and I do prenatal yoga as well. So people don't really know if it's their first baby, they don't know the bodies, and so they don't realize if it ends up being a C-section, what that actually entails, and how many layers that you have to go through, the stages of labor, and so that's what I find that I can really bring to the table, That's a really, really interesting piece. Like I really like bodies and anatomy and actually what happens. So I know the people that I've worked with have been like, I didn't know that's what happens and how babies come out. Everybody knows how a baby comes out. They know they come out, but they don't know what's happening to the body and how we can actually help that. Like we can actually help it along in that prenatal piece, the mental piece, and then they get to know the feelings are different. And okay, this is how I'm feeling. What does this mean? This is what labor is. So that's my experience, and I'm sure everybody at this table would bring something different to that table.
Anyone else with something you've learned that was unexpected, perhaps?
I think for me, it's been a lot of, so similar to that as well. But, and I think back to what Erica was saying earlier, it's a lot of folks not knowing where to find the information. And many of the questions that were asked are similar, but it's again, I think being a sounding board for being a safe place to ask those questions versus going down the Google dark holes and finding out things that may be or maybe not correct, but it's that evidence-based information that we can bring and giving people like that advocacy part that I feel like a lot of people just are overwhelmed by what's out there. So helping nail that down a little bit and finding the right information for the phase that they're at and the questions that they have and giving them a bit of ease of mind going into something that they know is going to be obviously uncertain, but just helping them prepare as best we can.
Helping people feel then empowered because they've got that information and they know like they've got the background then and they can make the choice based on what they've learned rather than being hit hard with like, okay, we're going to do this procedure or maybe we'll do this one. Like, which would you rather? And then they have to be like, I don't know what either of those things mean. Can you explain it all to me? But at the same time, you're like in between contractions or you're in like a dark place postpartum and you're trying to figure something out. So it is nice to have an objective person to just send you, here's a great evidence-based article you could read on this.
And that leads right into the postpartum part of your of your season too, right? So like it's with nursing and bottle feeding and what the right choices are and how to heal and how to, pelvic floor therapy and all like latches. It's very easy to spiral. There are so many options and there's so much judgment for new parents and how you choose to do things and what you choose to do. That it's nice to have, again, it's the impartial empowerment piece that we bring to the table.
As opposed to perhaps, like maybe they are, they could be your friend, but still like loads of judgment coming from the friend on this because they did something differently and you've got a different experience.
Yeah, and we are specifically trained to be unbiased, whereas your best friend is going to be like, no, you have to sleep train. That's the only way to do it. Like you will never sleep again. This is what worked. Do this way. Yeah. Whereas we're like, okay, here are the 2 choices or 3 choices, and here's why they might work for you. What do you think?
And you can figure it out.
There's so much trial and error.
All of that. We've got Maud Perron on the line. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. And you?
Good. Tell us about your experience having a doula. And Erica's just here with us as well. So tell us all about it.
Yes. One word I can say, it's wonderful. It's magical. Sorry, my baby is sleeping on me, so you're gonna hear baby noise.
That's totally okay.
Yeah, like I've been listening a little bit of the show, and like the girl said, I will never go back without having a doula. Having a doula by my side during this vulnerable time was life-changing for me and for my partner. And I think this is important to mention. It's not just the person giving birth, it's the partner as well that benefits from it.
Why was it so? Like, what did your partner say? Because for you to highlight that, why was it such an important thing for them?
Because he has questioned too. It's a moment that is really stressful for him. He's seeing his loved one and soon his baby going through an intense moment in their life, and he's worried for them. So having an external person, he can be, is everything fine? They're going to do that. What do you think? And he has somebody else with who he can discuss and bounce ideas, so he's not alone in this journey, and the partner as well. So they feel like we felt supported as a team.
So how much do you feel that you learned for what you're hoping to learn and for the support? Because I know you're saying it's such a great experience. So how much did you kind of learn about what you were hoping to learn through the whole experience?
Everything, because I didn't know anything about birth. I didn't know what was to have a newborn. I didn't know how the delivery would go. So I just and every time I had questions, like Erika mentioned, she would send us a bunch of articles and be like, just read about it. And if you have any question, get back to me. So we went there with full knowledge. I felt like I did a short certificate in childbirth.
And one last question for you. What's your advice on why it's so important to find a good match?
Well, I think that was mentioned. You're going to be vulnerable. Yeah. You're going to be in a place that, you don't know how you're going to react emotionally. You're going to be naked. I remember I was my boobs were coming out all the time. So you need to be comfortable with that. And also somebody who with who you connect. I remember for me, the reason I picked Erika, I had other friends that were saying I think Erika would be a good fit. She has she loved gardening as well. She loved outdoors. And I was like, okay, good. So it's somebody that has the same vibe as me, that she can understand I want to wear my baby go hiking. Maybe she's done that before, and maybe she can relate to my lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the reason you just want to feel comfortable. It's the same thing with a counselor. It's the same thing with a hairdresser. You want to go have a good time when you go there. So I do like the same thing.
We did have a good time at your birth mode. I had a good time.
We did. We had a really good time.
I feel like if we asked the staff, the nurses had a really good time. It was good.
Well, funny enough, the giving birth for me, I said to everybody, because I had a doula, I will experience that day again. I had such a great time. We had laughs. I was grateful for everybody. This is a really joyful moment that I keep in my memory.
Maud Perron, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing with us.
My pleasure, and thank you for talking about that. It's really important.
Maud talked about having such a good time, maybe doing it again. We are in a time with low birth rates, right? To take that and really make it, look at where we are with demographics for the province, for the country, the birth rate. And oftentimes people ask, well, why aren't people having more children? And I know that's a very complicated answer, but is this conversation not maybe part of that answer?
Absolutely. Oh, I think so. I think so. How many people have I, talked to said, that experience is something I never want to go through again.
Yeah.
And that's miserable. Everybody deserves to have a beautiful birth story and have it designed by them and, work towards that. And let go of the judgment and just remember the good things. Like I just wanted to give Erica a hug right after Maud said that. It was like, good job, Erica.
Yeah, but good job, Maud and her partner.
Absolutely.
Because they did that.
It's a team.
Like that's not just me. That is them finding the right person to support them and asking the right questions and like making sure they've got the right care team. You know, it's important that people have that knowledge and have that empowerment going into birth or postpartum or whatever, you know?
No, I love seeing the reaction from everyone here in the room because, I mean, to have such a beautiful, successful, everything, like that description that Maud was talking about, you know, I mean, that's such a special thing.
It's huge.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing too, is just the fact that that experience is clouded as such a positive one. Like, I'm not going to share the details of her birth on live radio, but, you know, no birth
Maud was pretty, but didn't mind sharing a fair bit. No, I don't want you to share any stuff.
No birth is without pain and uncertainty and discomfort and like questioning. And, you know, there's always some stuff. But,
of course.
You know, one thing that having a doula has definitely been shown to do is to reduce what people report as traumatic. So reducing the rates of birth trauma and negative birth experiences. And people are, you know, even though they've been through a lot, they're still reporting their birth experience as a positive one. And a big part of that is having the right care team and having a doula. It's part of it, having that one, you know, person there to support you through the process.
And the continuous care of being there.
And just, I just think, you know, if there's someone, like the uncertainty, the questions, but if you know there's someone there to help, like that feeling must be so much more reassuring than if it's like we said before, one of the healthcare professionals who are busy doing everything else and trying to concentrate on that task at hand as opposed to some of the other.
And often you often meet that person for the first time when you walk into the hospital. That's the other thing. It may not be your doctor that you've been seeing through pregnancy, and usually it isn't, to be honest. And the nurses, same thing. Like, they are lovely. They're amazing at their job. Everybody over in the case room is great, but you're meeting them for the first time. So it's a stranger. A really lovely, caring stranger, but still a stranger.
As opposed to someone who you've got a rapport with, who's with you for the journey. Right? We've got Ashley Mullet on the line. Hi, Ashley. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Good. Tell us about yourself and you know, why you wanted to do that.
Yeah, so I had my daughter, who I used a doula with, when I was 35. My first child, I was 22. So there's 12-year difference in between the two. I must say the first experience was quite stressful. Wasn't exactly a planned thing. It was life, and it happened, and it was very scary. I didn't know what to expect. At 22, yes, of course, I was an adult, so I knew logistically what was going on, but it was still very, very scary, especially where it wasn't something that was planned. So the second time around, my wife, it was her first experience in a delivery room, and she was scared just as much as I was, and I was reliving kind of what happened when I was 22, just the scary, and I didn't want to experience that again. I love my son and everything that happened, but that experience necessarily wasn't what I was hoping for my first childbirth experience, especially I was so young. So this time around, we wanted that support, and having a doula really gave us that. She helped my wife support me, so she wasn't only just doing everything. She taught my wife what to do to help make the experience better for me. She was there every step of the way, and it made this experience, especially at 35, I was technically considered geriatric pregnancy, which is hilarious.
35, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so that was scary as is, but it was nice to have that reassuring voice, someone there. If we had questions in the middle of the night, I pretty much blocked out most of my first experience just because it was so rushed and scary. So it was almost like my first time again as well, 12 years later. So for both of us, we found it was absolutely amazing. She felt like she could help me because she was terrified. My wife was, and she was like, I want to help you, but I don't know how to help you. And our doula really did help with that experience.
Yeah. So what types of questions were the uncertainty that you talked about with your wife? What questions was she what were some of the things that she was so curious about for help and everything else?
Well, she just didn't know how to help me. She knew that I was doing all the work, pretty much. I was the one in the hot seat, or whatever you want to call it. And she just wanted to be like, okay, I know there's nothing physically I can do, but what can I do? So our doula, she helped her show how to massage my back, how to help me move my hips back and forth to go through labor. I was managed with that help to go 7 hours unmedicated. now at the end, I opted for the epidural. If you need it, go for it. But I was able to go 7 hours without, and it was a really good experience. Even though it was painful, it wasn't like what I remembered it being. I remember it being more calm. Everything was more calm. She was in the room. She asked what we needed every step of the way. If I was going through a contraction, she was there to remind my wife to show me how to help me breathe through it. So it was really amazing.
Oh, Carolann's just right here. Carolann, just anything you want to add to this from what Ashley said?
Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. I'm a bit sick, but that was from Sophia, so that's all I can do.
Okay, that's acceptable. That's acceptable. I was just so, always honored to be in the delivery room and to help prep families, and going over with Jessica and Ashley to their home was a really important part of that. And really reducing the fear, I think that really helped. And I know Jessica was nervous, and that worked really well. So she got to know me as well as Ashley. I had known Ashley before. And I think the most important piece of this was the comfort zone, and that you felt seen, I believe, and that you both felt comfortable, that you were a little potentially worried about going into the hospital. But that kind of dissipated very quickly, and I could see you in the hospital relaxing. And so I thought, okay, this is good. This is exactly what we needed to do. And Jessica was a rock star, but Ashley was more of a rock star. And it was a great birth experience that I'm grateful to be part of, for sure.
Ashley, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing your just talking about your experience with Carolann and everything else. I appreciate it.
Oh, yes, no problem. Thank you for giving me the time.
And I hope you're feeling better.
Thanks.
Ashley Mullet there. So we're slowly but surely getting down there on time. This is the part where I kind of ask about, because we do have the Olympic 5 minutes today. I'm getting some nods in the back there. Oh no, maybe some uncertain nods, but we will risk it at 5 too. Jordanna, just your thoughts on as we kind of wind down the conversation. Just anything else from either that I haven't gotten to today on the show, or anything else that you just kind of want to mention.
Great question. I've just been sitting here kind of listening to everyone and everything, and I think there are two things that have been coming to my mind. Yeah. One is the prevalence of birth trauma in our province. I hear from a lot of birthing people that have experienced really traumatic births, and that all isn't always defined by the medical event that occurred. That a lot of the literature says, and people also share, that what can be more challenging about their births isn't exactly what happened to their bodies, but it's how they were treated as they were going through the experience. And that doesn't always mean that they were treated with malicious intent, but that when you're going into a space and you don't know the person there and they don't know you and what you're coming in with, and they don't kind of see your perspective, that there can be a miss that happens. And that the protective factor of having a doula, of having somebody who knows you, knows your values, knows your background, what you're bringing into the birth, who can support you through that, can make, even if the same medical event and outcome happens, it can make how that feels very different. So I think it's just such a beautiful protective factor. The other thing I've been thinking about keeping calm, helping to calm down the birth room, is one of my favorite things to do is, as soon as I show up to a birth room, is turn down the lights, put on some little twinkly lights, put on a playlist, some music. A lot of people are really into Taylor Swift playlists right now. The nurses and doctors have loved it. Most of them. Some people don't love Taylor Swift, but most people, there are a lot of Taylor Swift fans over there. So even the small things that we can do to help things feel calm and feel personal, and help people go internal and feel oh, there's a team here who's got me, and everyone's going to work together to support me through this kind of vulnerable moment in my life, so I can just do what I need to do to get through it.
And with 15 seconds left, for folks who want to get in touch, what's the best way for get in touch with
Check out our
collective?
website.
Yeah. So there's the Doula Collective website, which lists the practicing doulas in the community.
Right. Doula Collective NL. If you Google it,
.com.
it should come
That's
up. .com. There you go.
So that may be a good start.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own sort of pathway to find people, but that's a good start.
Okay.
And show up on March 1st.
There you go, March 1st. Thanks for this.
Chair.
Thanks for coming in at Chair. We're going to toss to the Olympics now and all the way over to Italy. So that will be there, definitely. And we'll be back tomorrow for what I think will be part snow day, part something else, TBD. Thanks so much for listening. One more time, Nan Stewart, happy birthday. Cheers.